Alright, so today's video is going to be about why bulking is making you ugly. Right now, I know for me it seems pretty obvious, like as to the whys, but some people might not be as tapped in on the why. So basically, what I'm gonna go over is that it makes you fat, bad food equals bad skin, and it affects your confidence. So in terms of the making you fat, I think everyone is aware that being the more out of shape you are, the less attractive you are, right? That goes on both sides of the spectrum, right? If you're too fat, then you become less attractive. If you're too skinny, you also become less attractive. It's just being too skinny is viewed more favorably by society as in comparison to being too fat, right? But basically, it comes down to the more off the margin of healthy that you are, the less attractive it's seen as. So when you're bulking, obviously, when most people are bulking, they tend to eat in such a great surplus that they just become obese, right? You just become fat and you try and cope and be like, oh, it's helping me, I'm getting muscle. That's why, I won't get muscle if I don't get fat. And that's just not the case. Like, because even gaining muscle ain't even about like um it ain't even about how much calories you eat, right? It's more just about how much you stimulate the muscle. Now, the only thing that you can say about eating more calories is that maybe it gives you more energy, which lets you push harder in the gym, and that's where you gain the muscle from. But it's not eating so much that you're getting fat that's making you get more muscle. It's that since you have more energy, you're able to push harder in the gym and you yourself are heavier. So you're able to push higher numbers, right? Which isn't doesn't even directly correlate to more muscle because you'll start losing that strength the lighter you get when you need to eventually cut anyway. And if you're going to argue with me about the validity of, such a high surplus bulking as a practice for gaining muscle, the only thing that I'll tell you to look at is the skinny people who start working out and they gain muscle before they even start gaining fat. Like the people who just start working out and they gain muscle before they've even done anything to change their diet. Explain how that works under the paradigm of you need to get fats to build more muscle. Okay, so if you're bulking, you're just either you're wasting your time, you're stupid, or you just want to do it. Right? Wasting your time in that like you now need to spend all this extra time cutting, even more than you would have needed to because you made yourself fat. You're stupid because you think that you need to be fat to gain muscle, right? Or you're doing it because you want to, which is also okay. Because if you just like, oh, I just bulking is an acceptable it's a societally accepted reason for me to just eat a lot more food and like eat more unhealthy and I want to eat more unhealthy because it's fun. If that's the reason why you're doing it, then screw me, bro. Like do your thing, dude. Like I've done that before too. Like back in back in high school, back in I think first year as well, where I was like, oh, I'm bulking, bro. But I was just eating. I was just eating food. I was just eating all the nice tasting food at as much of a surplus as I wanted to, just because bulking is fun. It's undeniable. Like no one will deny that bulking is fun. So if that's the reason that you're doing it, just at least now you're doing it with no delusions, because that's okay. Like I think personally, I think like if you're just making a decision based off of fun, then what can I say? I think the next one was what? Yeah, bad food equals bad skin. So another reason it's making you ugly is obviously unhealthy food tends to be high in oil and sugar, oil, sugar, fat, all that stuff. And the issue with that is that when you have too much of it, you also tend to get acne and things like that, things of those sorts, since it makes your skin more oily, since you're ingesting more oily stuff. And you have more sugar, which is obviously also bad for your skin. And then there's also the level of, since you're eating so much, it's more likely than not that you're not really getting as much water in. And as you know from probably the previous, I don't know which video, I know it was mentioned in one, uh, as you know, water helps with your skin, right? So the less water that you're drinking, because obviously you're already full from all the extra food that you're eating, and water is purely water makes you a lot more full. So if you want to save space in your tummy to be able to eat more food, then you're probably just gonna skip out on drinking water because water just fills you up, right? So all those uh, end up with you just having worse skin in general, because your skin's just oily and you're having breakouts, and then you're also not drinking enough water. So it's not a good thing overall. So bad food equals bad skin. And then, oh yeah, it impacts your confidence. Yeah, what impacts your confidence, right? Because you yourself know that you're doing unhealthy things. Now the thing is, I don't know whether everyone's like me, but I'll assume that the people who watch my videos are similar enough to me that they feel the same thing. When I'm doing things that I know are bad for me, right? So like times where I'm skipping out on my diets and I'm just eating a lot of food because it tastes good, or I'm skipping out on workouts because I'm lazy and I don't want to leave the house, or I'm spending, the whole day scrolling on like social media or something. Days like that, the areas around those days, I feel the worst. I feel like absolute crap. Why? Because I know that I'm acting like absolute crap. Like I'm eating like crap. I'm eating like crap, spending my time like crap. Like I'm skipping out on things that I want to do, things that push me, not only push me towards my goals, like because I want my goals, right? Things that push me towards my goals and make me a better person in general. I feel that, I feel it when I'm skipping out on it. So because of that, it impacts my confidence because I know that I'm not acting as I would want to be acting, right? So bulking in general will impact your confidence because you yourself know I'm eating more than I probably need to be eating. You yourself know that since you're getting fatter, you're not as good looking. You know that you're not as good looking. Like no, unless you're trying to be delusional here, everyone knows that like getting fatter is not a good thing. It's not a good thing for your looks, especially. You don't feel as great. You probably feel like more sluggish and stuff, more lethargic because you're eating foods that make you more lethargic. You're in like a high surplus of like carbs, and carbs make you lethargic. You're in a high surplus of just like sugars, which sugars cause you to crash. And you know when you're eating like bad food, and you're also full. Being full also just doesn't make the day as nice as it could be. So it's just a thing of overall, because you feel worse, your confidence just also lowers because you know that you're not as attractive overall of a person as you are when you're not bulking, right? Because you also got to remember, it's not like you someone it's not like you're the jolly fat guy, right? Because some people they're super jolly, like their energy is like very surprising for how much they're like burdened down by the extra weight, right? Some people are super jolly, they're like, oh, you're like the fat jolly guy, right? But you're not that person, right? Because that person, you got to remember, that person doesn't care about things like physical fitness, about things like how their face looks in a more deep level. Like they'll take care of their beard, they'll take care of their beard, they'll wash their face, but like they don't really pay too much attention to, oh yeah, I'm getting acne, or oh, my face is looking a bit pale. Like they don't care about that stuff. So it doesn't really mentally affect them as much as it does you, because you care about that thing. Or you care about that stuff. You care about the fact that you looking good today in a broad spectrum. Like people will objectively view you as good looking, right? You care about the fact that objectively speaking, you're healthy today and you look healthy, you feel healthy. You care about all that stuff, so it'll actually affect your overall confidence. So you can't really compare like, oh, look at this guy, look at, I don't know, fucking Santa, bro. Look at how jolly he is and he's fat. Like he doesn't care that he's fat, bro. He doesn't care that he probably has like gonna get like type 2 diabetes if he doesn't already have it. He doesn't care that he might die at he's losing years off his life because he's eating a lot of foods. He doesn't care that he's gonna get like gout when he's older because he just overeats on things. That's not no way in like his peripheral, no way in the vision. But you care about that stuff. So the fact that you're not like sticking towards it will actually affect you, right? So yeah, that's the reason why bulking is making you uglier. You know, it's making you fat. making your skin worse, and making you feel and express yourself worse. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. Don't bulk. Yeah, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you have anything to say about it, leave a comment. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.